Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It is, of course, Friday, and it is time for a top 10 update and Q&A. So, as always, folks, tell me how I sound.
Visual and sound is good.
Excellent. So, yeah, another good week. Lots of stuff got done. Illnesses, allergies, plagued us certainly this last week. So, we've had some downtime, but still an awful lot got done. We did get a gecko. Sandra came in with a new pet. She of the queen of bearded dragons brought something else into the office, who promptly looked at all of us, crawled up my arm, and the experience was so moving for her. She dropped her tail. So we have a tailless gecko, original name Mocha, currently Stubby, and we may have a naming contest for her. Update from the West. Hopefully, we will have a signed deal for the office out there next week. That's what we are hoping. As I said in the last update, it's an interesting experience out there, very different than Virginia, but hopefully we will have an office. Programmer updates, we made an offer today. I'm going to talk to the gentleman a little bit later. We may have a new one coming on board in Seattle, and we are also waiting on a final programming test from another candidate. So, and that's actually for Virginia. So we might be adding 2 more folks to the team in the coming month, which would be wonderful. So, top 10-ish. First, this is one near and dear to my heart. Building blocks are now using substances. So between Christina and Rob, they got that all hooked up and working nicely. And then yours truly added 238 different wood types to potential building blocks. I'm working on some of the small details, but oh boy, it's safe to say that there'll be an awful lot of wood in this game for our builders to play with. Will it be 238? Don't know. It depends how many textures we certainly want to create and load. The interesting thing is that I've partially modeled another 300. So I don't think we'll have anywhere near that amount, but we'll certainly have an awful lot of wood in terms of a building substance for you folks. Once I'm done with that, I move back to stones, and when that's done, we will have, I think it's a very safe bet to say we will have the widest range of building substances in this game that you can imagine. And of course, these things are modeled for the game. So they have health, they have different hardnesses, they have different compressive strength, they have all the things that are important for building and for defending. So, this is not just, let's stick a name on it and put it in there. No, these things are going to be important. The choices you make as to what building materials you use for your home, for your castle, for the walls, could absolutely and will absolutely have an impact on the building's defensive capabilities. Ability cooldowns. So obviously, if you were in the test last week, you saw that we had reactivated them, got a bunch of good feedback. Matt made some changes to the code, and it's now testing on hatchery. So hopefully next week we can move hatchery over to prep, but we'll see. We'd like to get our beta folks in next week as well. Banes and Boons UI. So first version, or 0.1 version, is up with changes. We got sounds hooked up as well, and we'll be doing additional work on it, of course, over the next few months and onwards after that. Server stability. Obviously, we are still trying to find the elusive proxy disconnect bug that certainly sorry, shouldn't have said certainly, that we need to find. Colin has added more debugging and also has added a Band-Aid so that if it does, decide that it doesn't want to talk to us anymore, then the proxies will reconnect on their own. That is up, that is working, but we still want to find the source of the problem. Animation and more tech there. So now the bots now use the correct combat and idle animations. If you were in the last test, you saw the bots stabbing themselves in the face. Now, considering how boring their job is, I don't blame them, but we do need to fix that. Continued work on SFX and VFX tags. Look, obviously, the easier it is for Ben and the team to tag different components, tag different actions with different sound and effects, the better and more interactive the game is going to feel. Work on that continues. Here's one that you won't understand until I explain it, so don't worry. Convert cogs to use def refs. What does that mean? It's actually kind of simple. Over the last number of months, we've used different ways to import data into the game, whether it's editors, CSVs, any other form of getting data in that we can possibly use. We have now standardized, and thanks to Christina, she wrote some great code on the def refs, so that it is now so much easier for us to, as designers or programmers or artists, to simply write the data out to a CSV and it's loaded into the game. That's been an ongoing thing that we've been working on, and very helpful, as you can imagine, especially during beta. Environment art, more trees from Dion. So the world will be getting more interesting to look at. Art, another bit of art, this time on animations. We've been working on the unarmed combat animations and idle, as well as some work on jump and some other emotes, and getting all this hooked up. So you'll be seeing a whole bunch of new stuff going in over the coming weeks, all geared to, as I told you folks in the last update, producing a slice of animation life for you guys and gals to look at. So you'll see what we consider a good sitting animation, good two-handed axe animation, good jumping, good running. And once those are in, we'll be working on the transitions to make it as seamless as possible between those animations. So everything always feels very smooth. And that's one of the things that when you look at a lot of other games, there's the animations themselves are usually absolutely, or can be obviously, very excellent. Sometimes that transition isn't so good, and that's where you get, the skating. That's where you get other issues. We're working to try to make that as smooth as possible. UI. So Michelle is neck deep in a styling pass on our UI. More work on that will, of course, continue this week, next month, the month after. UI is one of those things that is never done, is never perfect, is never right. Frankly, every game that I've ever played, at least MMOs, has their UIs have changed over time. So will ours. We're giving it a little bit of extra love right now. Last on the update list, the updated character hair. So that's obviously important to a lot of people in the game. It used to be important to me, not so much anymore. But a lot of the folks do like, you folks really do like having options for hair. So we're going to be working on that. One of the things we all working on that. One of the things we did promise you from the beginning is that, look, this game wasn't going to have as many sliders, as many options as some of the great character creation, character generation parts of other MMOs, but it's still going to be pretty darn good. And this is just another step in that direction. So other than that, look, everything is just going great here. Other than the spring allergies, absolutely nothing to complain about. The programming team is working absolutely fantastically right now, and we're looking again at pulling in hopefully 2 more programmers in the coming weeks. So that would be a nice addition. Hopefully we'll get the office behind us in Seattle. And yeah, boy, you don't want to. I know for quite a few updates, I had to be very negative and, much more. It's a good word.
Serious?
I guess serious may be a very good word. Thank you, Max. About things. Now, lots of joy. Everything is just moving along really nicely, and I cannot wait for you folks to see what we have planned down the road once we get the animations, VFX, all that hooked up and running very well. We have something in mind that I think you guys and gals are going to like a lot. So having said that, let's go to a Q&A.
All right, folks, give us your questions for MJ. As you're writing those up, I'm going to play the Q&A intro.
Who are you?
Turn the stove off. Did I hear a dog?
Do you like my shirt?
When are this?
Is this my spleen?
Now it is time to answer some questions.
All right. Horst Rudolph asks, would it be possible to change your engine to make an MMO FPS game like PlanetSide? If yes, would you consider selling your engine or parts of it for this particular game?
Yes and no. And he asked 2 questions, so I can say that without people making
Nice.
fun of me for saying yes and no. So I think I talked about this in another update. The engine is actually designed to be an FPS. That was Andrew's belief, and it was a very solid one, that we should go down the path of designing it so it can handle an FPS and then build an RPG around it. And that's why Smackhammer, that's why we had the combat the way we had it early on. So the answer is yes, this could easily be transitioned into an FPS, but no, we're not interested in selling or licensing the tech, especially given the fact that the engine isn't ready yet. When it's ready, who knows? It's not our focus right now as a small studio to become a middleware provider. Look, you've got some great engines out there. Unreal is, well, it's Unreal. And Amazon, certainly thanks to the world's second wealthiest man, according to reports yesterday, is spending a lot on Lumberyard, and that I am sure will end up as a very, solid, if not, I'm sure even great engine, because it's based on the Cry engine. So that's really serious competition. On the other hand, on the back end, we do some pretty special things. So anything is possible, but for now, if we were going to sell the engine to do an FPS, we'd do the FPS ourselves.
Fiorent asks, how far into the game would you say naval combat might develop?
Look, I'm asked about this a lot. I love naval combat. I think that this game is tailor-made for naval combat and aerial combat, even though I know that pisses off some people. But when you look at islands, when you look at how the world is configured, this game should have naval combat. Would I like it to have it? Yes, I would. Will it have it before launch? Not a chance. Is it something I'd even design before launch? Not really. Maybe for fun, but not seriously. I would like to see it in the game at some point, though.
Dulosoji asks, when, roughly, for IT level, are we looking to start testing something closer to a real stability build with any one of these real new materials? real stability building.
Got it. That's what we're working on. Won't be much longer.
All right. Vate Malux, or Vate Malux. Last week we got a peek at the armor slots in JB's stream. Is there already a set number of armor slots, or will that number change? It seems like a lot of work for crafters, making 30 plus pieces of armor for one player.
It is a set number. Will it change? It might change. Certainly, if we find that the system is too cumbersome, we'll change it. We wanted, and by we I mean myself, of course, as well, to give players a lot of flexibility in terms of their armor slot, as well as to give crafters something to do. So, if it works at 30, or 20, or 12, or 6, as a designer, I could care less. What I care about is giving both our crafters and the combatants the right number. And that's something we'll be figuring out certainly over the course of Beta 1.
Zwande Liu asks, are the depths in development already? What does its schedule look like?
No, the depths are not in development at all. The depths are not something that was slated for Beta 1, so we are not spending any time on it. Our entire focus is on Beta 1. We were talking the other day about whether we want to do something for April Fools. And I love April Fools, even though it is kind of tropish at this point. But the answer had to be no. Until we are in Beta 1, we should not be spending any significant time doing anything except working towards Beta 1.
Thantanos asks, what are your plans for the score of the CU universe? Will it be epic, like Conan, or thought-provoking, like Stellaris? Are you confident it will be spectacular?
You can never be confident that a score will be spectacular. You hope it is. I mean, that's something that I've always been really focused on, and that comes from my certainly being a film buff and having a couple producer credits and all that sort of stuff. I've always believed in the importance of music. When you grow up, both as a film buff and in the age of Star Wars and all the great music from those decades, from the 70s and the 80s and beyond, that were just amazing scores. You really learn to appreciate the importance of music. And so, I would love to say that we'll have something that John Williams would be proud of, but that's a bit of hubris that I certainly do not. I don't have. I would hope our score will be great. We want it to be great. We want it at times to feel epic. We want it at times to feel scary. I mean, the depths should have very different music than when you're wandering around the plains, of a realm. That's what I want. It's, the same thing we did with Dark Age, and that came from, my belief in the John Williams theory. Because if you look at when John was at his peak, and he was scoring different music for different characters and different scenes in a really unique way, that definitely influenced how I wanted our music to sound like, and what I wanted us to do. And it's the same thing here if we had it within our budget. It's not a question of whether we have skilled enough composer. It's a question of do we have the time and do we have the budget to do it in that epic way.
Odelvik asks, Inebriated Skunk would like to know, how will cooking be handled in game? Will we be doing it through magic or like crafting or by hand? Will it be simple, choose from a list and click, or have multiple steps? And finally, will they provide buffs or some other benefit?
Well, right now cooking is not confirmed for the game. Would I like to have a good cooking system? Sure, it's fun for some people. The question is, of course, what do you use it for? If you make cooking the equivalent of pots, Do you make cooking the equivalent of buffs? If you make it the equivalent of either, then it sort of becomes a must-have. And as anyone who played Dark Age, certainly for a long time knows, that was an issue in the game. People, and this is something we've talked about even before the Kickstarter, people not willing to go out into RVR until they were fully buffed and they had pots and all the things that players worried about. So that's something that troubles me, and something I want to be careful, absolutely careful with, so that if we do decide to do it, we've done it in the right way and not in the, we just wanted to spit something out and either make it useless or make it something necessary. Somewhere in between, I think we might have to end up.
Torkal asks, like your previous game, Dayhawk, should we expect to see spellcraft appearing about the equipment and optimization of our character?
Wait till you see what we end up doing with air and some other things.
Do you want to explain what the air system is for people who may not know, just briefly?
Oh, not air, Scott. God, sorry, guys. With the engraving system. Sorry, I was out this morning. Go ahead.
Ears.
Ears. Sorry, I was out this morning with a bit of that spring, allergy stuff. So, yes, ears.
The engraving and reaction
system.
Doulos has a question for me. How is that Depths board game coming? It's coming along well, Doulos. I'm the only one spending cycles on it right now, working on it, in between other things. Don't want to take up anybody else's brain space. Definitely until we're after Beta 1. Udovik asks, will you have a juggling skill? And by juggling backpacks, you can increase your character carrying capacity by keeping 2 in the air at all times.
That's really funny. Let me think about it. No, we have no plans for a juggling system yet.
Some April Fool's questions.
Well, I'm sure. Go ahead. Ask 'em.
Okay.
Have fun with this. Embrace it, even if we're not doing anything.
Helzik asks, have you heard about the upcoming celebrity wedding? Tomorrow will be the wedding of Whoopi Goldberg and John Cushon. The soon-to-be Whoopi Cushon says April Foolers aren't allowed.
That's funny.
Let's see. Here we go. Yozaro asks, would you guys be interested in writing tech-related blog posts after release, like details about an issue, what didn't work, what worked, etc.?
Oh, sure. The equivalent of postmortems, of course.
There's a producer's postmortem in this month's newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Lev Villain asks, when will we have more definite knowledge and goals for the crafter class in general? I'm still a little confused about building stuff and crafting using a Vox. Can we do both, or must we specialize?
Not sure I understand the question. So, first of all, building is done without a Vox. Crafting is all done via the Vox. When you build, at least for now, you're going to be building only with your crafter character, himself, not through the involvement of the Vox. Down the road, might we tie the Vox into building? Potentially, if we need to speed it up. In terms of your question, though, what exactly are you looking for? Because from my perspective, we've talked at great length about how crafters make almost every piece of equipment in the game, how crafters are going to be able to be siege engineers, how crafters are going to be obviously also involved on the retail end in setting up shops. So I'm not sure what piece you're missing or you're looking for. So if you want to rethink the question or rephrase the question, I'll be happy to answer it.
Zwandi Liu asks, what kind of different biomes are planned towards release? World diversity is pretty important to me personally.
Then you'll have plenty of it in the game. That's something that's important to us as well. As you can see already, we have some different looking biomes. You'll see in today's update the trees that Dion has been working on, which will also be part of a different look. So I think if you care about diversity, if you care about not every area looking the same, you'll have plenty of that in Unchained.
Foggy asks, having talked to JB, some items will cover multiple slots, like a full helm covering the skull, eyes, and face, while a cap may only cover the skull. Will covering all of these slots actually provide a protection benefit in the game, or are they just representative of how the armor covers the character model and/or cosmetics?
No, it's not just for cosmetic purposes. It is actually for useful reasons. We haven't really spent a lot of time in talking about ways that we can improve the look of the character cosmetically by allowing people to wear different things. These are all things that will have an impact on the game.
Vate Malix asks, MJ, do you think there's room in the gaming industry for people with backgrounds in history, archaeology, or anthropology to help with research or in game development?
Oh, sure. Depending on the game, obviously, they may need help in doing research on, for the games that certainly care about either historical accuracy or, in our case, for example, to take things sometimes whole from history or even as a jumping off point. So sure, would it be an easy thing to do? No, it will not be. You would have to find the right company and the right project, but certainly for the right game, I can't imagine that they're not looking for, at times, people to help them out.
Odilvik asks, within areas of marsh, deep snow, quicksand, etc., are there any plans to apply a negative z-axis to have character models sink into the ground slightly, up to their ankles or knees, or sink a lot up to their waists or necks, with a proportional reduction in movement speed?
Certainly the reduction in movement speed is something we want to see. How far we could go with that is something, quite frankly, I haven't even discussed with Andrew. But the negative effects on movement, we've talked as well about the cold and how that could affect gameplay as well. So, yes, I would love to have both, actually.
Nok Sukao asks, will weapons be repairable or destroyed like the new Zelda?
Okay, so yeah, good time to talk about this. So one of the things I wrote this week is an updated document on durability, which we've discussed with Christina, with Ben, and right now the system is pretty much what I initially envisioned, which is weapons have durability. When you wear down a weapon to the point of breaking, you should probably, even before then, repair it. Are weapons meant to last forever? No. Eventually a weapon will break. Weapons can be repaired quite a few times before they do break, but they cannot be repaired indefinitely, and that is true no matter how powerful the item is, no matter how well crafted it was. On the other hand, crafters and their skill will also have an impact on how well the weapon is repaired, so that It's not just as simple as you give it to the crafter, they put it into a box, they push a button, everything is repaired, and it's repaired in the same way it's repaired in the same way from different crafters, and that's not the case. A crafter's skill with repair is something that will be useful, will help the players, will extend the life of the item. So we'll be giving our crafters something else that they can specialize in and make themselves even more useful to the combatants.
Another question about crafting. Doulos OG asks, if building is without a Vox, then how do you make your cubes?
Well, making the cubes is via the Vox. After that, the Vox does not have to be involved. And mainly for the reason of that if the Vox had to be involved in all building itself, then the Vox would have to be always out in the contested areas, and that's where bad things can happen. So, we don't want our crafters to have to bring out their beautiful, shiny, I've spent every last penny pipping out my Vox, and take it always out to the most dangerous areas in the world.
Torkal asks, concerning the craft system, until you want to push your things concerning the breeding in particular, and how will this system be linked to housing?
Torkal, I don't understand the question.
Yeah, try clarifying that a little for us, Torkal.
Yeah, the
I'll ask it
breeding.
again. Valdi asks, have you had any chance to try out the new Zelda game? And if so, could there be some kind of stamina system like Zelda that gives you the ability to climb up stuff?
I actually, as much as I might hate to admit this, I am not a Zelda fan. I am not anti-Zelda. I've just never, been a big fan of the game. So, no, sorry.
Miatalis asks, will there be a moment when a character's build, their skills and gear, is mostly complete without anything major or gameplay changing to look forward to? How soon are we expected to reach that point and maybe move on to making an alt with a different build to try something new?
When you reach soft cap is really, I think the point when you've reached soft cap in all the areas that you can progress in. I think at that point you would look at the character and go, okay, maybe I shouldn't focus on this anymore because now leveling the character up is going to be slower. A lot slower. On the other hand, look, we have to be always very honest about this. I'm a believer in expansions. We've talked about both extenders and expansions. And so, could soft cap be permanent? The answer is probably not. If this game is very popular, if people want more abilities, if people want to progress their characters in RVR, obviously because this is not Dark Age of Camelot, we won't have PvE that you'll have to engage in, or other things that soak up a ton of time in order to level your character. So it's certainly possible down the road that will be one of the things that change. But let's assume that it doesn't. There'll still be lots for you to do in the game, certainly, even though it won't as much be about progressing your character. We hope it's about fun. We'd hope it's about going in and just playing the game and enjoying it while still getting rewards from your king. So even if you soft cap out, it isn't like the king has to stop giving you things, or that even the rewards from the king have to stop leveling up. What we've talked about is that your skills, your abilities, soft cap. That doesn't mean other things have to soft cap either.
Odilvik asks, How do you see killing NPCs for materials working? I.e., if you kill a wolf, will you gather just a slab of wolf meat? Or will you receive 1 wolf pelt, 70 pounds of wolf meat, 2 wolf eyes, wolf brain, claws, teeth?
We'll follow the WoW model, so wolves don't have teeth, or only 1 in 10 will have a tooth, and
Drops a gold ring.
Exactly, and they'll drop a full suit of armor, and but if you're looking for a liver, from a pig, good luck with that. We have no idea, quite frankly. That's something that's going to evolve over time. Certainly, and the reason why I say no idea, it's not that we haven't thought about it, but we don't even know if we're going to have cooking in. So if we don't have cooking in, then it doesn't make any sense to even bother putting meat in, because otherwise it's a useless item. So once we decide on exactly what will be any additional professions that you can engage in as both a combatant and as a crafter, then at that point, once we figure that one out, and that's subject to obviously stretch goals and extender packs, then we can figure out exactly what is going to be dropped when you kill an animal. Certainly, at a minimum, things that we know are going to be useful would be things that could be useful in making armor, that potentially could be useful in making infusions. But all the things that a creature could drop, no, we have no idea yet, because like I said, that is absolutely dependent on where we want to go with various professions.
Lorgarn asks, what made you go with a block-by-block building system versus a place pre-made piece system, or doing both?
So we've thought about it. Boy, did we think about it. The block building system is the most flexible. I mean, there's no question. Because using a block building system, you can use pieces as well. You can use templates. You can do things that you can't do in a piece-by-piece system. On the other hand, there's a lot of disadvantages with that. When you have a piece-by-piece system, it can look better, no argument. It is certainly easy to do the math when it comes to building stability, so much easier. On the other hand, very few things that are worth doing are easy in this life. And we believed, and still do, that a block building system gives us a chance to do something really special, and not just a Minecraft clone. Obviously, we are not that, but to do things like Andrew's curved surfaces, to do other things down the road as well, to make the buildings look better. That's one of the those are some of the advantages with a block system. Will we be right on this? I certainly hope so. We're putting a lot of time in it, and certainly the results so far have been fantastic. We'll see what happens over the next 6 months.
Here's a sweet one. Thantanos asks, can you give me an example of an idea someone else on your team came up with that blew you away and you're adding it to the game?
Oh, I talked about one of the ideas Scott had for Souls. I talked about JB taking over essentially guild and group design because of ideas that he discussed with us a number of months ago. There are so many others. It's really one of the things that we tell people when we interview them. And yesterday during an interview in Seattle, George and Matt interviewed our potential new guy. And one of the things that they talked about was the fact that we are really big on not only having people contribute ideas regardless of whether they're programmer, designer, artist, HR, writer, etc., but also having people who can take charge of that idea and run with that idea. Sorry for the cliches, but it is quite true. And that separates us from a lot of studios. Look, I've been doing this for friggin' ever. Certainly I have both the game credits and the money to have said, hey, I'm the designer here, and that's all there is to it. What I say is the rule of Valar. That's not how we operate. That's not how Old Mythic operated either. It's something that I've always believed in. Yes, I think I'm very good at coming up with ideas, but so are other people. And I think a studio like ours, where that is encouraged, where that is never frowned upon, that is both unique and I think the right way to do things. So, the ideas that people have are constantly flowing. And that's also one of the reasons we have an open office, to allow that to happen, much more easily, more organically, in a way that doesn't require setting up meetings, to discuss an idea, or, just a much more formal process, which it can be in a lot of studios, and in way too many, unfortunately, people who are not even in the discipline, aren't even allowed, let alone encouraged, let alone allowed to contribute, and that's not good. So, lots of ideas. So much of this game has and will continue to be contributed by members of the team here, as well as backers who come up with good ideas.
Yuzaro asks, what's written on the whiteboard?
Stuff. No. This was some work done on VFX by the programmers.
Leif has clarified the earlier question about crafters and buildings.
Okay.
I learned recently that crafters can't master all, so I wondered how building structures fits in with the limit on general crafting. I'd love to do both, but...
Awesome. Yes, they will be separate tracks. We don't want to force builders not to be able to craft, nor do we want to force crafters not to be able to build. Prevent them from being able to build.
Scott the Rock asks, what time limit will there be on crafting items?
Time limit? Like, what's the maximum amount of time? What's the minimum amount of time? What's the average? What I've said in the past is that things will take from, certainly during beta, only seconds, to days or weeks, which of course you don't have to sit there the whole time, nor do you have to actually be active the whole time. But very powerful items will take time, and they can be done by multiple crafters at the same time as well.
Bryce Stirs asks, what happens if the game doesn't make it? What happens to the money of those who pledged?
Well, obviously, if you mean make it, do you mean create it, or do you mean it comes out and fails? And I'll answer when you answer the question.
Mehuge asks, can non-crafters buy blocks and build buildings?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Swande Leo asks, will the I Am the Warrior Builders Pack, the cheapest one with Beta 1 access, still be available once Beta 1 is in progress? Basically, should I wait for buying and decide at the time if it's already worth joining Beta 1 for me personally?
So one of the things I say, and I've said this here, there, and everywhere, is that we are still giving refunds. So if you think Come On Unchained might be the game for you, if you pledge at this point, you can get your money back before beta. If you wait until Beta 1, that refund policy will not be in effect. We've been very clear about that. Once we're in beta and are streaming and doing everything else, we will have a different policy, because at that point you're buying something that you know exactly what it is at the point you're buying into the game. So if you want to get a head start, pledge now. You get the advantage of higher amount of realm rewards once that system is in place. Because we've said this as well, the longer that you're a backer, the more you're going to get. We've been very clear. No pay to win, never, ever. But there will be perks. Just as there were perks, obviously, for the founders backing during the Kickstarter. So, it's up to you. If you want to wait, great. Nothing wrong with that. If you're unsure, wait as well. On the other hand, if you think that this is the game for you, then you can pledge and just, when we're in Beta 1 or Beta 1 starts, you don't like what you see, hit us up for a refund. But if you wait until after Beta 1 starts, then the policy will be different. Then it will not be like it is now, because now people are buying in on a bit of faith. Obviously, whether they've seen the videos, whether they played, the other games that I helped bring to life, whether they just even like the stories that Max and I write. It's not the same thing as actually being able to play the real game or see the real videos. Because what we're showing are obviously either teaser videos or some for an unfinished engine, videos, pre-alpha, videos, all that. But in beta, it's different. And so, it's really up to you. You still have time. We're not going into beta next week. So if you want to wait longer, you can wait longer. But again, the difference is if people who pledge after Beta 1 begins will not have the same policy, have the same refund policy that people have now.
Masahi Kokobe asks, any update on aging?
Nope. Haven't done a thing with it.
Bold Venture asks, will items change appearance with durability?
We would like to do that, yes.
Brian asks, are there any plans to make gathering materials a little more in-depth than clicking on a resource node and waiting for the gathering to happen like most MMOs?
Yeah, absolutely. We'd like to do that. Whether we will be able to do that or not is the question. Some gatherings should be like other MMOs. Because let's face it, if you're picking up posies, you really don't need to have anything more complicated than that. On the other hand, depending on whether you're gathering in the depths, whether you're gathering from a mine, or doing other things, there should be more involved. I would like there to be more involved, at least. Whether there will be, only time will tell.
Odelvik asks, will armor that never gets hit wear out slower than armor that gets hit a lot?
Oh yeah. Right now the durability system is based on the amount of damage that either hits the item or gets through the item. It's one of the things that, Ben and I are working out the details on. Not being hit will mean your armor lasts longer. That I can guarantee.
Nanolak asks, will item decay continue when offline? Extended vacations could be expensive to players if items decay while away from the game.
I guess we should look at two different types or multiple types of decay. For items that would decay over time naturally, something like anything flesh-based, plant-based, etc., that just happens over time. Stuff like iron that you might have stored or stone you'll have stored, that's not going to get decay, especially not if you go on a vacation. And if we got to that point, we might have a vacation mode. Look, I had that back in my old game Galaxy, for gosh sakes, over 30 years ago. So if we got to the point where there were a lot of items that could decay, we might allow people to have a bit, have that vacation mode or other things that they could do for their stores that would slow down the rate of decay.
I'm just going to repeat an announcement Tyler posted in the chat here. For those IT or alpha backers on here, please jump into the Wormling prep test. More bodies equals more bug finding and feedback we can address. If you've already been in once or twice, please jump in again.
Yeah, sorry to have to keep asking you folks to do this. We are really trying to do repro the server disconnection issue, proxy disconnection issue. So far we haven't been able to, of course, because we put in more logging and a Band-Aid. Now the darn thing doesn't want to happen. So maybe it'll happen this weekend. We want it to happen. We need more data so we can see what the cause of the problem is and not just rely on a Band-Aid to cover it up. You know, the covering up is great. You know, it allows the game to continue and you guys to test. But that, we don't like those as long-term solutions. We want to find it, fix it, and move on. We don't want to leave a trail of bugs behind us that we should have fixed.
Torkel has a clarification. When talking about breeding, I mean livestock, Max. So I think they want to know if breeding livestock is kind of a crafting thing.
Yes, that's something we've talked about in the past, and we would like to do that. Absolutely.
Toto Tata asks, will there be a Bane and Boons reset or adjusting to prevent re-rolling the same character over and over when a new Bane or Boon comes out?
In all honesty, I haven't thought about that. The answer, I guess, would be yes, because certainly if we add a bunch of Banes and Boons to any of the current classes that could have affected a player's choice, I think at that point a respec or a targeted respec would be something we would allow. I've talked about how I'm not a big fan of constant respecking because you get to be the whole flavor of the month thing. But I have said in the past that when we screw up or we do something that really changes things, even if it isn't a screw up in this case, that player should be able to have a respec. So at that point, I can't imagine I would say no to that.
Foggy asks, have you thought about using food as a mechanic for maintaining NPCs like guards?
Yeah, and that's certainly one of the ways we could proceed with that. The question is it worth the time and the trouble? And that's something that we'll look at as we get much further down the road. If we think that there's a lot to be gained and it doesn't take a ton of work in terms of probably more than anything else the amount of art and the things we would need to support it, then we could certainly look at doing it.
Krakatoa Crazy Crafter asks, a few months ago you answered a question about getting into another realm by any other way than running there. Will there be something like Passage of Conflict in Daok where you could enter an underground tunnel and then end up in another realm? Or will this perhaps also be possible in the depths?
Oh, well, certainly in the depths. There's all sorts of reasons and advantages in controlling the depths. In terms of other ways to get into a realm, keep in mind that our game is much less rigid in some ways than Dark Age of Camelot was. So getting into other realms is not the same challenge that it was in Dark Age.
Fierent asks, will Wormling be opening to beta backers this week at all?
I don't think so, but I will check with Tyler. The big problem still is that disconnect thing, and until we nail it, I don't think we're going to do anything with betas on the weekend when nobody is here, obviously. However, during the week, if we can't solve it this week, I think I will open it up next week, all week, just as we've left it open this week for alphas, and we'll leave it open for betas to get in. It's just that on the weekends, of course, when something really bad happens, having people give up their time is something I don't want to ask very often. On the other hand, during the week we're here, so what the heck? Something breaks and we're on call because we're at our desks.
B-Tide asks, is the Camelot Unchained merch store going to reopen?
Yes, eventually. Won't say soonish. Eventually, simply because, as I said to you folks in the past, we haven't earned the right. We're not in beta. We're late. And all good intentions and even things like opening the Seattle office and getting even more programmers than we have All that simply shows that we're willing to do what it takes. But until we actually do what it takes, then I don't want to be hitting you folks up, even if it's not in a telethon-y way, because I don't do that. But even in anything that seems like we're trying to take in money when we're late. We've left, obviously, the store open for donations, but we don't advertise. We don't do what some other games do in order to increase the stream of money into the studio. So the store would be one of those things. When we did it last time, obviously we were in a different position. So we are going to wait, and when we are either in beta or if we're close to beta where we know we're going to make it, then you can expect the store to reopen.
Scott the Rock says, MJ, you're awesome. Thank you so much for streaming today and helping us out.
Thanks. You guys are awesome too. As frustrating as it is at times to do this, and it is, making these games are hard. Frankly, if it wasn't, everyone would be doing it. And occasionally have to deal with less than kind backers. And that's part of the job. It's not necessarily a fun part of the job. It is actually a part of the job that can be quite wearing on me, as well as on other people here. But we know the vast majority of our backers, frankly, either are very content, maybe not happy, but content to wait for us to, deliver because we keep making progress, or just happy that we're doing things the right way. And that's really important. None of us are perfect, not anyone at CSE, not anyone on the other side, obviously, of the camera either. And I want us to continue, though, to be the studio that does things the right way. And if there are some backers out there, as there are, who, frankly, that doesn't matter to. They just want the damn game. And I've had people say that. That's all right. That's their choice. That is, a decision every backer has to make for themselves. But the vast majority of our backers aren't that way. And that makes me very happy. And it's one of the things that's allowed me to put additional money into this game, because I know that we have a really solid core of people who are just waiting for us to deliver something great. And if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. I don't have to hire, additional programmers. We don't. We have enough people to finish the game. Finally, we are at that number. But I want to not only finish it faster if possible for you folks, but to be able to do more faster. And that's, something Andrew and I were discussing today regarding the new programmer we may be hiring. We've spent a lot of time working on tech. We're continuing to work on tech. Bringing in another gameplay programmer allows you folks to have more game faster. At the end of the day, whether it speeds up the game's development or not, we'll have to see. I think it certainly will. But it allows you folks to at least see and have more of a game to play, because I have more resources that Andrew and I can focus on gameplay, and that will give you a better beta. It'll give you a richer beta, and that's what we want to see, not only for beta 1, but for the other phases of beta as well.
Well, it's almost 5.
Okay, 5 minutes, guys. Looking for the big question.
All right.
So that was a good one.
That was a good one. Immortal Mage asks, how does itemware being based on getting hit not put tanks at a disadvantage, as they inherently want to be the target of attacks?
Well, of course it does. On the other hand, your armor is going to be different. And the durability of something that is made for a tank doesn't have to be the same kind of durability of armor that's lighter. Obviously the clothies, if we've got clothies and cloth, that doesn't mean they don't get hit. That doesn't mean that their armor, or the equivalent of armor, doesn't need repair. and they have other expenses that they'll have to deal with. Tanks absolutely get a slightly higher burden. On the other hand, there are advantages as well for being a tank. So, it's a trade-off. And look, at the end of the day, as I say in almost all these streams, whatever we start with, whether it's a huge amount of durability or very little durability, or too many repairs or too few repairs, all this stuff is going to change because I don't care. I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't sound great when a designer or a developer says this, but I don't care, whether the numbers we had at first are right. We don't need to spend days or weeks trying to get them right. What will get them right is the beta process. That's why we're doing things this way. That's why we're bringing in as many people as we are potentially bringing in, so you folks can play the game, so you folks can tell us how you feel and how we see how the system is working. That's why I don't care about the numbers in the beginning. I just care enough that when you come in, you can play the game and give us feedback. And, one of the things I've talked about, especially last weekend on the forums, was how much feedback we want from you folks. And, developers say this all the time, and certainly sometimes it's a bunch of, horse shit. We've already shown that that's not us, and we're going to show it more as we move forward. I mean, I think some of you, especially those folks who have played a lot of other games and have heard developers say that they will listen and then they don't, I think you'll find the experience different with us on Camelot Unchained.
Lave asks, one thing that's irking me, how can we late backers get both our one realm rewards and the physical goodies, or vice versa? I really want those goodies, but I also want my forever goodies.
So this is the how can I get physical goods and the realm question. I've had this before. It's a good question. So one of the things that I have not done, and this is all on me for better or worse, is put up more tiers. That is one of the tiers I would like to add down the road, and by down the road I mean beta. We've had enough people who say they would like to combine the two tiers or have an I am forever version. We will put more tiers out there when we're in beta, because again, at that point, you folks can see even more of what you are donating into, as opposed to just putting up more tiers now, which in my mind at least looks like we're just saying, come on, more money, guys. We need more money.
Is that a good place to end?
Is there anything better in the queue? Because that was a pretty good question.
Well, a related question. Scott the Rock asks, how can I pledge money to your game without buying a package? I just want to donate.
Oh, there is no way, actually. Huh. I appreciate that. Why don't you just buy, if you're thinking of donating an amount that's equivalent to a package, just buy a package and give it away to somebody. That way you're helping both the studio and you're helping somebody else by giving them a free gift. If you were looking to donate a lesser amount, ping us about it, and maybe we can put something up once we're in beta 1 for people who just want to, donate to help us out, because that's a really, really nice gesture. Thank you.
All right.
Quite
That's
nice.
a sweet spot to end on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, folks, we'll keep you posted on testing. If we don't test this week in beta, I promise you we will test next week. And by week, I mean during the week. We really need to track this issue down. We haven't yet. And like I said, I don't want to do it. We don't want to do it over the weekend because in case it does blow up, there won't be as many people around to actually do anything. Whereas if it happens during the week, we can immediately get on it and maybe get another repro of it very quickly, which is what we want to find or what we want to do. So I'll keep you posted on that. Certainly we will have, as of now, we'll have a wormling up, and we should have a hatchery open as well. Hatch has a bunch of new things, certainly among them the cool downs and other stuff. And yeah, that's it. So look, folks, have a really good weekend. Hopefully there'll be lots of fun April Fool's pranks coming out of not just game studios but others. Though I think that's starting to fall in a bit of what's the word? Not torpor yet, but sort of falling a bit out of favor. So companies don't seem to be doing as much. Plus, it's kind of now expected, so it doesn't have that same kind of shock value. But there won't be anything from us. I am sad to say, but once again, I think it's the right thing for us to do. And yeah, so have a great weekend. Hopefully I'll see some of you folks in the test. And as always, we thank you for your support, and see you next week.
And keep an eye out for an update email and a newsletter email.
Oh yeah, I should
testing
mention
emails.
that. By the way, we went a little crazy this time with the newsletter. I know sometimes you folks have felt that newsletters are way too long. For those of you who think that, you'll be very sad. Hopefully, not too sad. This weekend, we set, I think, a new record.
Just about.
Okay, or almost a new record. It's a big one, folks. So
Meaty.
Lots of stuff, including a new column from Brittany, which is nice to see. And
A bonus thing.
Yeah, a bonus, and we'll be doing more of those. So it won't be a weekly thing. I always don't
Or
think,
monthly.
but it may be a monthly. It may be a monthly thing. It depends, really, just how much happens during the month. But yeah, lots of good stuff, lots of interesting stuff, as well as the usual art and next chapter in the pick story from Max.
Indeed. And yeah, it's big, but it's a good big. It's not fluff.
It's huge.
All right. See you later.
Bye, folks.